What you know, alibis. Welcome to another episode of Pretty Lies and Alibis. I'm Gigi. Good to have you here. It's Friday, December 12th. We're going to go over closings in the Brian Walshe trial, and I am on verdict watch. So what I'll do is when I hear there's a verdict, I will announce it on a YouTube short. So subscribe if you haven't already. And be sure to hit those notifications if you want an update of when there's a verdict or a jury question or whatever may happen today. So let's jump into closings. The defense goes first and says that Brian was a loving father and husband. He searched for the unspeakable on the internet and disposed of the body of the woman he adored. The Commonwealth suggests it was an affair, but there's no proof Brian knew anything about an affair between the woman he loved and Will Fastow. Money? The second reason the government suggests, but there were sales of properties. They were trying to protect the assets for the benefit of their whole family, including their 3 children. There was the refusal to consider prison for a terrible mistake he made, a case that began in 2018. There's no proof of that. Who wants to go to prison? But it was on the table, and he had to face that. What would cause a loving father and husband to do the things you've heard about? Could it be sudden or unexpected or unbelievable? Something a medical examiner would understand and have knowledge of, but not Brian. Something that defies logic when it happens, the unexpected death. How do we know he was a loving father and husband? Jim Mutlu said so. We know from the witness from KinderCare. She said he would show up, interested in the kids' progress, and Anna trusted him with their 3 kids 24/7. The Commonwealth must prove beyond a reasonable doubt a killing occurred, but there's no proof. There is evidence he lied to police, made those searches on the internet, and he disposed of her body, but no evidence he killed her and no evidence he planned to harm her. They're cherry-picking thousands of points of data and asking you to think about it, but not telling you why you should think about it. There was no blood or DNA evidence on the knife found in the kitchen. You can't base your verdict on sympathy for Anna. They keep talking about the hole in the ceiling like it was something significant. There's nothing significant. It looks like someone fell through the ceiling. As the evidence developed, their witness said he contacted Brian because there was a promotion going on. Brian didn't call and ask him to come fix this suspicious hole. 200 pages of search history from Brian's phone, searches for MGM and nothing else. They're throwing out pieces of evidence. And why was one witness asked to tell you about a song title? The searches on the laptop began 6 hours after Anna died, and he initially searched about disposing of a body. And if you don't get the results, you change the wording. He never killed her. He lied about what happened to Anna out of fear nobody would believe him. But not one record, not one page refers to any plan or intent. There's no evidence he committed premeditated murder by the words in the title of a movie. You're being asked if he committed premeditated murder with the intent to kill the woman he loved. I asked the investigator what was in the bags in the basement, and he said pieces of rug. What does that tell you about the thinking process of a man who planned to commit murder to let police walk in the basement and use his boot and feel what's inside the bag and said it felt like a piece of rug? The rug is in evidence and it has blood on it. Think about that when you wonder if Brian planned anything. No. Did he kill Anna? No. The evidence doesn't support a finding of premeditated murder based on the evidence. When asked about the messages on his phone, he says, "I messenger." And they seized that evidence saying he saw a text between Anna and Fastow. Those texts are in evidence. And why would they want you to believe that? Because some of the entries in those texts were upsetting and may enrage a husband to read what was going on in those texts. But ask yourself, as you look at them, you could say they might put someone in a rage, but there's no evidence he saw the text because he was trying to say I messenger. There's no such thing as I messenger. There's Facebook Messenger, but no evidence in the digital data that he ever saw anything between Anna and Fastow. Why is it on New Year's Eve, Anna is taking photos and says in Brian's presence, let's send one to Will? Was there any evidence he reacted? No, they celebrated another 2 hours. He knew his wife had a crush on Fastow, and he wasn't even jealous. Anna told her friend Alyssa that she wished Brian was more jealous. Consider that for the motive of a killing that did not occur over an affair. There's no evidence of that. Unexpected deaths happen in young, in old, in athletes. There was 11 minutes of searching for a divorce in 7 days. It came up in the context of protecting assets after selling one of their properties. Mr. Mutlow said they were planning for their future. Brian loved Anna and their children until the unexpected event happened. Imagine you're so in love, you support your wife to get a job in D.C. You put assets in her name to protect her because of your federal case. Alyssa testified Anna was upset, and no doubt she was. Why was she upset? Maybe the affair wasn't going well. She was living apart from her kids. She had another life. She went to Dublin. Where's the evidence Brian knew about that trip? There's none. That conversation 3 days before she disappears. I don't know if I love him. Even though she was stressed, families do make it through. They signed the champagne bottle on New Year's Eve, looking forward to the future, and she wrote on the box, "What a year, and yet we're still here." Brian loved his wife, and there's no evidence of premeditated murder. Brian Walshe is not guilty, and that was it for the defense. And it was time for the Commonwealth. Anna is dead because Brian murdered her. They point straight to him and says he intended her death. She wasn't missing. She didn't leave in an Uber to Logan Airport. There was no work emergency. She didn't say bye to her son. That was a story Brian told people, and she hasn't been seen since January 1st by anyone. Brian was the only adult after Jim left at 1:30 a.m. on New Year's Day. After he left, Anna was home alone with Brian and their 3 sons, aged 2, 4, and 6. He caused her death, and the evidence shows you she did not die of natural causes. She died a violent death. You have the photo of Anna lying on the rug that was found with blood on it from the dumpster near his mom's place. They found a piece of her necklace embedded in the rug. It didn't break on its own. The rest of that necklace is missing. The slippers had both Brian and Anna's DNA on there. The bathrobe and 2 bloody white towels with Anna's DNA. Why did he throw it out? Because it had her DNA on it. He was researching cleaning, how to clean blood from a wood floor, clean DNA off a knife. He had a cut on his thumb January 9th. One of his first stops on January 1st was to buy antibiotic ointment and Band-Aids. He went to the liquor store and was on camera, putting a bag in the dumpster. That store was closed. January 2nd, he went to Home Goods to buy a new rug to cover the hardwood floor. Days before, the forensic scientist got to the home and knew the rug had been replaced. Anna was in shape. In an interview with investigators, Brian said she was a sturdy Serbian woman. The life insurance company had her undergo tests to ensure her health, and her exercise instructor told you she took this class on the morning of New Year's Eve. She had a home gym in D.C. It makes no sense for a 39-year-old woman to die suddenly. And without a body, a medical examiner cannot tell you her cause of death because Brian got rid of her body. He wanted nobody to find her body to know how she died. So he bought cutting tools and cut up her body and threw her into dumpsters. He was hiding her body. He intended to kill her. He needed her dead. This was a marriage in crisis, and she was close to a breaking point. For his federal case, he owed restitution, but he had no assets. He told investigators he only made $50,000 to $60,000 that year. His mom signed the lease for the home and was paying their rent. Meanwhile, Anna was beginning to thrive. She was making close to $300,000 a year. She got ready for her kids in D.C., but the defendant needed the kids with him as it helped him to avoid prison, and the separation was taking a toll. Anna wanted the kids with her, and she began a relationship with Fasto. It got worse when she went to Serbia to take care of her mom. Anna went to Dublin with Fasto, and she purchased that on a credit card Brian monitored. The search history shows him looking at the Chase account. He told police she had a layover in Frankfurt. It's on the credit card statement. He was angry she missed Thanksgiving and mentioned it repeatedly when talking to investigators. Anna returned in December and only spent 1 day in Cohasset. She was supposed to come home Christmas morning. She missed her flight and had to drive up. Brian told police there was an argument. They play a clip from this interview, and then the Commonwealth says, "What did he do on Christmas Day?" He looked up Will Fasto, the man his wife had just spent the night with. He was losing Anna. December 27th, Brian was looking up best strategies to divorce for a man in D.C. divorce laws. This wasn't to protect his assets. That wasn't the search. Everything was in Anna's name. He had nothing without Anna. On December 29th, Anna spoke to Jim Mutlu and said she was upset about travel, being away from the kids, and sad about his federal case. It was getting to be too much. She went out with her friend Alyssa and broke down. It was supposed to be a fun night, but instead she broke down and told Alyssa Brian needed to take responsibility for the federal case and go to prison. And they had not been intimate in a year. Anna questioned if she could just take the kids. She established a separate household. She said she was falling out of love with Brian. Brian was looking up the Mazda building and the FBI raid, something that happened in 2022 when Anna first started working there. He brought it up in his interviews when he lied about Anna having to leave for a work emergency. He was going to lose Anna, and when he did, he would lose his freedom, and Anna would be in D.C. with the kids. He convinced Anna into thinking things were okay. They joked about the Porsche, but he didn't want her to realize he was aware of the relationship between her and Fasto. December 31st, Brian said he couldn't find his phone. This allowed him to be unavailable for 2 days and carry out his plan and show the police when he reports Anna missing and not have them question why he did not contact Anna earlier. He also shopped with a list at Lowe's. He told Jim New Year's Eve his phone was lost. Anna was texting Fasto that night, and she was alive when Jim left. Brian murdered her that morning, and that's why the internet history shows best way to dispose of a body. Is it better to throw away crime scene clothes or wash them? Can you be charged with murder without a body? His MacBook was syncing with his son's iPad. His demeanor changed when investigators told him the searches were on the iPad. He knew he was caught. He involved the 6-year-old when he had him say he saw his mom that morning before she left. But there's no way he could have. Brian had already killed her. January 5th, in an interview, he involved his 4-year-old when he said his son hid his phone. He made reservations for dinner and told investigators he and Anna had no plans for New Year's Day. He would be in violation of his federal probation if he went. He deleted a message on January 1st at 7:59 a.m. This is when the iPhone was unlocked and supposed to be missing. It was unlocked 4 times and also plugged in on January 1st. Look at the online searches. You won't see any searches about unexpected death. He set the basement up with plastic sheeting and a Tyvek suit and dismembered his wife. He searched hacksaw, the best tool for dismembering. Then he got rid of her body, her belongings, and the things he told investigators she left with on January 1st. He couldn't let her body be found because she did not die of natural causes. Look at him on surveillance. He's calm. He had planned. He went to stores an hour away when there were stores closer to his home. He wore gloves in the store and had a list and paid in cash. Does this show panic or fear? He bought ammonia and peroxide and baking soda. No wonder the house was so clean. And the Commonwealth ends with a photo of Anna and Jim and her son on New Year's Eve saying, "Please do not allow the self-serving act of this defendant to get away with murder." So that was it for closings, and we are on Verdict Watch again. Go subscribe to YouTube, hit those notifications if you want to know immediately when there's any news. But that's it for now. Hope you guys have a good rest of your afternoon, and we will see you soon.